Hey there, how y'all doing this fine morning? This is Data, getting back on trail again this morning. I'm at the Springfield Hill DCA. I camped right down there last night. You can see my tent site's all nice and cleaned up. And I shared this site last night with a triple crowner who is currently working on a through hike of this trail. So his name is Greg in the wild. You probably saw him on the previous video that I've done about this, but I learned a lot, so thank you, Greg. I think we might meet up for dinner tonight in Cross Plains, but it's 6:30 or 6:35 and I'm just hitting the trail, and Greg's been going for like 45 minutes, so I don't know if I'll catch him or not. So I'm hiking the last half of Springfield Hill segment and coming around a bend, which I think is a great way to highlight the benefits of this kind of prairie restoration. Hear all the birds around kind of annoyed with me. They're out hunting for breakfast. But they have a nice little water source here in the middle, and the trail just goes around the outside, so the wildlife gets to be relatively undisturbed. And there's some trees that are flowering in the spring. I don't know if that's a dogwood or some kind of crabapple, but about a mile into this road walk, I had to cross that road I'm focused on right there. That is US Highway 12. It's a divided 4-lane US highway, and it's on a slope. And that was a little dodgy, I'll have to admit. Cars are moving well above the speed limit, and there are no signs on the either direction for the traffic that says that there's any kind of a hiker or pedestrian crossing here. So on this road walk, there's a dairy farm, and then you get to the house and there's a sign that says the Hoffman Family Dairy Farm. You come around a couple of blind corners on this little country road, and you start walking this way, and if you're not really careful, like I wasn't, you walk right past this little sign for the Ice Age Trail. I walked a good 2 or 3/10 of a mile down there before I spotted that mowed path and that blaze that's in the middle of that path down there in that prairie. So this is about as poor of a job of marking an entrance to the trail as I've run into. And the shame of it is, I mean, there's a sign right there, and it wouldn't take much to put another Ice Age Trail sign like right up here, or right over here, or for that matter even a bright yellow blaze on this sign that says Ice Age Trail, because that would get your attention. But there's no. Just as I got into that little segment that I walked past, there is a signpost with a blaze on it down here that you can't see. But walking up on it, I noticed this side right here is the back side. Like on the trail, you wouldn't need this or see this, but directly behind me is that road right up there where those trees are. So if there was to be a blaze on this, then through hikers would spot it coming down off that hill, probably. So, you know, y'all might think about painting a blaze on this side of this post, even though it doesn't make a lot of sense because hikers won't be coming this direction exactly, but it would help. So here's a ruin of an old farmhouse. It's stone. I'm going to go exploring it, and then here is what was probably the barn. And I think I'm getting close to entering the state park. It's all boarded up, so just a note to any ambitious hikers. Oh, Matt's Farmstead, built at approximately 1907 by Frederick and Katrina Schubert Matz. So that's kind of a scenic little historical site. This handsome little. Now that I've seen it from this side, I don't think this was a barn, just because of the kind of doors on it. But there's actually a bench on the other side that you don't hike past. I just noticed, so you can sit and gaze on this historical site. And there's a little yellow bird flew out of there just while I was in. So this is called the Halfway Prairie Wildlife Area, established in 2014 by Dane County Parks. And there is a kiosk here. I just walked past, but there's nowhere to sit here. I hadn't seen anybody else document this. Maybe they did and I just missed it, but there's a tunnel underneath the state highway. Thank goodness. Also, somebody's got a nice house up on this hill overlooking this whole state park, this historical site. Yeah, I walked right past it. So when you come out past the barn, you want to veer to the left just a little bit. And there is a trail marker. This one's on me. I walked right past this one, jabbering on. And then there's what I had mistaken for a drainage culvert, which goes under this highway. I wondered why on the map, when you got to the highway, it didn't show it becoming a road. So I must have not read well in Far Out, but there's what would otherwise pass for a drainage tunnel, which is just big enough for a hiker to walk through. Very nice. Thank you, Ice Age Trail. Beats the heck out of a road walk along a state highway. The Far Out app is actually what doesn't have that updated, so maybe I'll make a note. In fact, I will make it a point to make a note in Far Out later on today that when you come to enter this state park in this segment, you don't have to do that little road walk that's shown on Far Out. The construction of that tunnel looks pretty new also, so it might just be that it's just been finished in the last couple of years. So yeah, Far Out, some of the Far Out updates are a little thin. I know there haven't been very many thru hikers on it, and I don't know what the relationship between the Ice Age Trail Association and Far Out is, but I'm gonna do some updating on Far Out. I hadn't planned to do but a few things, but I'm gonna do a little bit more now that I've noticed that. Not because I have anything unique to add, but because it's something that the thru hiking community, even the longer distance hiking community like myself, comes to rely on. And there really aren't a lot of other people out here who could document it. So I'll try to do that. I'm at Indian Lake County Park, and I met up with Greg in Wild here. He was a little bit ahead of me, and he just left out back onto the trail. But this is a very nice stop along the Ice Age Trail. It's a county park, so it's got lots of amenities. I'm going to walk you around and show you a few of them. So for starters, of interest to thru hikers, is it's got a bunch of trash cans and landfill stuff. And it's got this shelter with picnic tables. It's also got some seating and picnic tables out in the open. There are some trails that aren't a part of the Ice Age Trail that lead up to some seating up on that hill. There is a faucet, but not just a faucet. They've actually got a bottle fill that is filtered water. So this was a very nice get. So I'm loaded up with 2 liters, which ought to last me the rest of the day now. I've come 14 miles in the first hour and a half. 4 miles in the first hour and a half. And it was pretty easy hiking. So I've got now 13 left to go. I should be in Cross Plains by 4 or 5 o'clock for dinner. There are outlets here for charging up things. These I couldn't get to work, and neither could Greg in Wild. And there are also some on similar little boxes over the shelter which didn't work. But there was a nice young man who's a county employee, parks employee, who was here, and so we reported that to them. And he checked the circuit breakers, which were fine, and said he'd pass it on up the ladder. But probably most impressive is this is a heated and air-conditioned bathroom in a county park. It's got hand washing stuff and sanitizer and a blower, hair dryer. It's also got one outlet, which, let's see, it was working a minute ago. Let's see, it's still working. I'm not getting a lot of charge yet, but I'm getting a little bit of it. So I have plenty of power in my other power bank, and I'll be in Cross Plains tonight, so I can finish charging them up there. But if you were completely out of juice and needed to charge a phone or something, you could probably get it done if you sat here for half an hour. I've read on Far Out that you should not draw water from this lake. As pretty as it looks, it's got various kinds of contaminants in it. From, I assume, probably from chemical runoff or, agricultural runoff in the area. But, you don't really have to because you got piped water right here at the shelter. So, okay, well, I just had turned out to be a 20-minute break or so at the county park here. And it's a very nice place. I got a little distracted after Greg N. Wild left, just by all the birds. It's been set up with a kind of a wetland bird sanctuary kind of a plan, it looks like. And I'll flip the camera around here in a minute and show you some of that. But I have seen just a great variety of birds, including my first goldfinch on this hike. So it was very nice. Nice little treat for a hiker. So I'll thank the folks of Dane County for setting this up, and I'm going to get back on the trail and get back to hiking, and see if I can show you some of the birds. As if right on cue, I walk up to the sign marking the trail, and there's a bird. How you doing? Any handsome? I don't know what that is, but I will look that up afterwards. So now in this segment, coming through the park, as you get further back into it, there's this little valley. And they're doing some various kinds of work in it. But there's a nice bench to sit on and relax if you're on your hike, and then there's a blaze on this post. So we've started going kind of in and out of little woodland areas. The blazing is okay. But like in a lot of state parks, there are multiple trails here. So like I'm coming up on a trail junction, and one thing I've learned about the IAT through this state park at least is that these signs have nothing to do with the Ice Age Trail. Except that you're still supposed to you're still governed by keeping your pets on a 6-foot leash and no skiing and that kind of thing. But the IAT might go this direction, or might go this direction, and I did just now spot a blaze painted on that tree over there. But just as a heads up, the signage and the blazing in, I think this is Badger State Park, Badger County Park, whatever I said earlier. The blazing for the IAT is separate from the blazing for the state park. So you still have to abide by the rules that are on the state park's blazing, but it won't help you find the IAT. So I love little bits of trail art and trail poetry when I just kind of randomly stumble across them. Also, I have never heard of W.H. Davies. Now I will go look this poet up. More trail poetry. Thank you to Sarah Teasdale. Here's a little more trail poetry for you from Nixon Waterman. The trail, and well, this is kind of a first for this county trail. That's a piece of deadfall they haven't gotten cleared. I mean, it's not big enough to worry about. I can just climb over it. But whoever built it, because this is a great view of the other side of this county park. Back over there in the distance is where I took my little pack-off break and second breakfast. You can see all of the tall grasses in the little marsh, and then the water, and then up on the rise on the other side is the historical farmstead over this area with those two stone buildings. So I'm exiting the dog park at the western end of this county park, the Indian Lake County Park, and there's a water source here that various knowledgeable sources say you should not draw water from. And as if to drive that point home, I thought I'd show y'all. I got a catch basin here just to catch some of the kind of funk and stuff that's floating, trying to come out of that creek. And I don't think the little filter and screen there is really going to prevent all of whatever that nastiness is from making it through and over to this side of it. So I would strongly recommend against drawing water from here. And if you're westbound, you shouldn't worry about this, because just about a 2.8 mile nice hike through that park, right over there in the distance, is the shelter that I was at earlier, and they have plenty of running water and flush toilets and power to charge phones up and all kinds of stuff. So
dairy farm.
Yeah, and this one, everybody would be glad you don't have smell-o-vision on YouTube now, because you could smell this a ways coming. And this is on, was it called Sherman Road? We almost missed this cutoff because it's not blazed at all, and you're on a different road. So I would say for folks coming along after us hiking this thing, pull YouTube out. Well, hello, ladies. I love it when the cows stare at you like they're expecting something.
I've had some very curious cows following me along the side of the road.
Yeah, I think they must associate every human with dinner time. Anyway, I've gotten to where I'm checking far out every single time I come to a street intersection now, just so that I don't.
Take a picture of the sign.
I always shoot a video of each of these because they're each a little different. This is one of my favorite designs because it's got a bench on each side. So one side of it, one bench is always in the shade. And this one is called the Table Bluff segment. And this thing says it's 4.8 miles. But the map doesn't look like that. So, I don't know. Evidently we're at the parking area, not the actual beginning of it. I've also been hiking today with that triple crowner that I met at camp last night. Goes by Greg N. Wild, and had a good conversation. I'm learning a lot. I think triple crowners have hiked more trails than I'll ever hike in a lifetime. But okay, we made it to the next segment. This is the Table Bluff segment on, looks like it's Schiefel Road. It's 2.5 miles long. This is kind of a straight, windy path to the south with only 100 feet or so of elevation. Greg and Wild. Here's their informational kiosk. This one doesn't really actually have benches. A little disappointing. A lot of them do, but they have these are probably all erratics. So we're in a part of the Table Rock segment, and we've just turned a corner, and I think these are wild geraniums along here. But for all my plant-loving followers on YouTube, if somebody wants to confirm or refute that, I'd appreciate it. But they're just particularly nice because they're little tiny flowers, and they kind of wave back and forth in the breeze. They're covering this whole section. So here's an example of blazing that needs a little bit of work on the Ice Age Trail. There's a new trail, the white blaze, the trail we're on, the yellow blaze, and then there's a brown arrow pointing sideways. So does this mean both trails go to the left, or since the arrow is on a white background, does that mean only the white blaze trail goes to the left? And does the Ice Age Trail continue on this way? Because we can't see any yellow blaze ahead here, but we also can't see one available over there. but there is a post that has only a white blaze on it. So my money's on the yellow blaze. We go straight ahead here, but
on far out it shows a yellow route going to our left, and then the Ice Age Trail route is going straight. That we're at that junction there, and it's sort of hard to see, but you can see that yellow line.
Yeah, so that means,
so that's like a loop trail, some kind of loop.
So since your phone shows north, then that means, yeah, you turn it around. We're to go straight. So it's the white trail that goes off to the left, and not the yellow one. But you know what? If you look at the other side of this sign, it has the exact same image on it. Let's see on the back side of it, if you're coming down a white trail. Oh, this is not helpful. On this one, it has a yellow arrow going both directions along this trail, which would suggest that you're intersecting with the yellow blaze trail. So I think we figured it out, but you know, sign. So we're about a mile out, really about 8/10 of a mile out from Cross Plains on a road walk that ends in a little segment walk. But when you come up to the segment walk, there's a great big sign that says no trespassing, private road. And there's actually one on both sides that hopefully I'm capturing here on film. And then on the right hand side, on a much smaller sign that's brown, in much smaller print, it says foot travel welcome for the Ice Age Trail. So
Where we're going.
Yeah, so we made it to Cross Plains, and this is the AITA headquarters, and it is only 3:35. So I wasn't even going to come here until tomorrow morning, but Greg in Wild kind of cracked the whip on me today and made me hike fast. No, actually, it's been a nice leisurely walk today for this long mileage. We still got a couple miles to go to the DCA, but here we are at the headquarters of the Ice Age Trail Alliance. Let's see. So, success. We're at the DCA that is just north of Cross Plains, and set up at the end of our 17-mile day. I'm over here on their predefined tent pad, and Greg and Wild is over here on a flat spot next to it over there. And we made it into Cross Plains at 3:30 or something like that, pretty early. So it was a good day. We did the 17 miles or whatever this was pretty easily. So I got a non-alcoholic IPA from the folks at the Ice Age Trail. I'm going to sit down and sip on that for a minute and watch the sunset over there off that ridge, and I'll probably come back and talk a little bit about the end of the day's events. So here's something you will not see me do on trail very often, if ever, and that's end my day by popping open a cold one at a trail side. Now it's a non-alcoholic Mexican style something Atletica. It's a non-alcoholic beer from this company called Athletic Brewing Company. Now I got yeah. So these were very tasty. I had a different one, a version of an IPA, when I was at the Ice Age Trail, Ice Age Alliance headquarters. So I brought it to camp with me, to another one to enjoy this evening. Yeah, I never thought about the idea of having a non-alcoholic beer at camp in the evening, so I'll be able to throw the can away tomorrow on the way out of town. Might note, I got the hair down and all that because we got to the Ice Age Alliance headquarters in time to utilize a free shower that they have in the basement. They also actually have free clothes. They have a free clothes washer that you can use, necessarily washer and dryer. but they don't have any loaner clothes, and we didn't have that kind of time really. So Greg and Wild and I visited with them for a while, had our pictures taken, and then we headed off to a restaurant nearby they recommended, which I can't remember the name of yet. I'll put it up here on screen. It was really, really good. It was billed as a brewery, but it actually I had a salmon salad, and I don't remember what Greg and Wild had, but it was another salad, and it was equally healthy and equally tasty. He said, then we hiked up to this DCA, which is a couple of miles north of Cross Plains. Got up here about 6 or 7 or something. I'm gonna put that beer down for a second. Fake beer. Having showered and gotten all cleaned up, we hiked up here and finished our day, completed our 17+ mile hike of the day, and now the camp is all set up as you saw, and getting ready to bed down. Want to get an early start tomorrow. Planning on having breakfast at Crossroads, which is a local breakfast and coffee shop, and then hike over to the Ice Age Alliance, which is headquarters again, which is just down the block. And Greg and Wild had a meeting scheduled with one of their folks in the morning, just to talk a little bit about his experience on the trail, since he's already a Triple Crowner, and I think he's probably got some useful stuff they may want to hear. I don't know, but they said they wanted to meet him and talk to him, so he's going to do that. And I'm going to just load up on water and head out, and I assume he'll catch up with me later on in the day. The plan is to hike 19+ miles tomorrow. It's actually it turns out to be 20 because of the DCA we're at here. And actually, by the time I get to my hotel, it's probably going to be more like 21 because my hotel's past the DCA in Verona. So it'll be a long day. I want to get an early start. So breakfast at Crossroads at 7, hopefully, and on trail by 7:30, 7:45. It's going to get hot tomorrow. It's going to be cold tonight, down to the mid-30s. It's supposed to be hot tomorrow, up into the low 70s. So it was a good day. I was hesitant to take a break late in the day, and my hiking partner encouraged me to go ahead and do that, said he didn't mind, so we found a little picnic area and took a break late in the day because I was starting to trip on things again like I do when I get tired, and we just sat there for around 5-10 minutes maybe, but it really helped me out. So I really have to remember to listen to that inner voice that says, you have hiked for a couple of hours now, it doesn't matter that you're just an hour from your destination, sit down and take a break, because that was a very helpful thing to do today. So I'll probably trying to do a lot of that tomorrow, because it'll be a long day. But if I get an early start, I mean, it's not getting dark until 8 or 8:30 or something, and I'm headed to a hotel in Verona, so I can get there whenever. If the sun is setting when I show up at the hotel, it's fine. I don't have to pitch a tent or anything, and I'll be having dinner at a restaurant, probably a little place called Gus's Diner, which is very near the hotel I'm staying in. But there's also a pizza place and a Chinese restaurant and a whole bunch of stuff. So this is Data on trail, reporting in at the end of another really good day, really successful hike. Great conversation today on trail with Greg and Wild. I learned a lot of things about his other hiking and stuff to look out for on trail, so that was really, really helpful to me as a novice. I got a lot of things to think about still about my other hikes and what I'm doing with my hiking kit, but I'm learning. I'm still not very good at this, clearly, but physically it was a good day. I don't have any blisters. My left shoulder is still bugging me from the AT, but I was careful with it today and didn't strain it too much or anything, so worked out. I guess that's really all for tonight from close of day thing. I think it was about 1,500 feet of elevation change, which is a fair amount for this trail over the course of the day, and 17 or 18 miles by the time we got clear up here to the DCA. So with that, I'm going to say good night and happy trails to each of you.